ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनीति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौ भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा। श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा। जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा। श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा।
श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा।
कृष्णा 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 है। कृष्णा 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 है। कृष्णा 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 रक्षामा। कृष्णा 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 पाहि मां। राम राघव राम राघव राम राघव पाहि मां। कृष्णा केशव कृष्णा केशव कृष्णा केशव रक्षामा। जय गौरानिताय 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 जय गौरानिताय। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Hi Krishna, welcome everyone. It was kind of a last minute decision to have a class today. All right, nonetheless. So we are on the 10th chapter, titled as The Beauty of Krishna. So we'll read it together that way. All right. Krishna is known as Madan Mohan because he conquers the mind of Cupid. He is also known as Madan Mohan due to his accepting the devotional service of the damsels of Braja and rendering favors unto them. After conquering Cupid's pride, the Lord engages in the rasa dance as a new Cupid. He is also known as Madan Mohana because of his ability to conquer the minds of the women with his five arrows called form, taste, smell, sound, and touch. The pearls of the necklace which hangs about the neck of Krishna are as white as ducks. The peacock feather which decorated his head is colored like a rainbow. His yellow garment is like lightning in the sky, and Krishna himself is like the newly arrived clouds. The gopis are like footbells on his feet, and when the cloud pours rain on the greens of the field, it appears that Krishna is nourishing the hearts of the gopis by calling down his pastime rain of mercy. Indeed, ducks fly in the sky during the rainy season. Rainbows can also be seen at that time. Krishna freely moves amongst his friends as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan. And when he plays his flute, all living creatures, mobile and immobile, become overwhelmed with ecstasy. They quibble and tears flow from their eyes. Of Krishna's various opulences, his conjugal love is the summit. He is the master of all riches, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. And out of these, his perfect beauty is his conjugal attraction. The form of Krishna, the conjugal beauty, is eternally existent in Krishna alone, whereas his other opulences are present in his Narayana form, like this Hare Krishna. Srila Rupa Goswami writes elsewhere that he wants, do not go to the banks of Yamuna, otherwise you will lose everything. And why? Don't go to the banks of Yamuna, because Krishna is playing his flute. If anyone ever get a chance to hear the flute of Krishna, see Krishna, the T-shirt says, I lost my heart in Vrindavan. It is coming from that background. I lost my heart in Vrindavan. Like that is mentioned here. The beauty of Krishna. And this is not something just a little exaggeration or a pompous statement to glorify Krishna. It's a fact. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj shares a story of Ghanshyam Das Babaji, who he personally met and spent a lot of time during his visit to Vrindavan before he met Srila Prabhupada, before he became ISKCON member, like that. And he talks about his life story, saying that how when this Ghanshyam Das Babaji, he was from Meerut or Etawah, something like that, and he was a 17 or 18-year-old boy coming from a very wealthy family background, and he came to Vrindavan back in 1930s or maybe 1920s, something like that, along with his family members to visit Vrindavan. But after he visited Vrindavan, he never left Vrindavan. So when parents were going back, he expressed a desire to spend a few more days in Vrindavan. The parents thought, okay, maybe fine. He wants to stay for a few more days. So they allowed their young son to stay back in Vrindavan. And the parents left. Few days became few weeks became few months, and the parents were again and again sending a telegram, sending an individual to find out the whereabouts of son. Where are you going to come back? And now the young boy said, no, I do not want to come back. I would like to spend all my life in Vrindavan. Okay, the parents thought maybe he has lost his mind. After some time, it'll be okay. For how long would he remain away from the comfort of his family life? He was a son of a wealthy man, wealthy merchant, and living in Vrindavan in all the austere condition. It's not the parents were sending him money and he was checked in a five-star hotel, getting 3 times meal of his choice. Nothing like that. He was doing Madhukari, living like a mendicant. And when nothing changed, after a few months, they sent him a message saying that either you come back immediately or else we will disown you and will take your right from any of our property. You cannot claim any your right to our property. The son did not reply, and he decided for forever to stay. He would walk in the forest of Vrindavan, and his only deity was the letter Radha that he would write on the ground. And he would whole day he would sit by that what he has written on the ground, Radha, and whole day he would chant the name of Radha, chant the names of the Lord like this. He had nothing, no possessions, nothing, you know. And like this, he was spending it days and weeks. And what he would do, he would write early in the morning. He would wake up early in the morning, take bath, visit few temples, and then go and sit in some part of the forest of Vrindavan, write name Radha, and whole day sit by that and chant. And later in the day, when it was about to get dark, he would rub the name so that nobody should step on it. So one day like this, he wrote the name and he was finishing his bhajan and he rubbed. When he rubbed, his head was hitting some hard surface underneath the ground. So he rubbed further, and when he rubbed further, he saw a gold underneath the ground. He was surprised. He rubbed further and he saw, in fact, it was a whole gold crown. It was a whole gold helmet. And he rubbed further, he dug further, and there came out the beautiful deity of Srimati Radharani, who had a golden crown. And then he further looked into it, he further dug around, and then there was also a deity of Lord Shri Krishna. And that's how he found his deity of Radha Ban Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha. And those deities are named as Gopi Jana Vallabha. From the age of 20 up to the age of close to 90, 70 years, he did not left Vrindavan even to Barsana or Govardhan. The day he found the deities, well, and they were really long. I mean, well, we have to yet take out Vrindavan Yatra. We'll take you to this Gopi Jana Vallabh temple, and the deities are huge. You can't carry them like this. So for next 70 years, approximately, as you imagine, he lived for up to the age of 90. For the next 70 years, Ghanshyam Das Babaji, he stayed by the side of his deities, not even once stepping outside of Vrindavan, not even once. And whole day, what was his activity? He had found some shelter and some small cottage, and not even the cottage. In the passage of the cottage, there was an old almirah which was given to him, or he found some almirah where he would keep his deities. His 70 years of his life was passed in a passage like this. What you see the passage over here, this much was the width of the passage where he would sleep. This is where he would serve. So question comes, how did he maintain himself? He didn't do anything to maintain himself. Only thing that he did was, whole day he sang for Gopi Jana Vallabha. And devotees, people of charitable disposition came and gave him some jewelry for the deities, gave some clothes. So very nicely, meticulously, every morning he will dress the deities, fan the deities. And when there was nothing else, whole day, for hours together, he had a broken down harmonium. He sang beautiful songs to the pleasure of Shishi Gopi Jana Vallabha. What did he eat? He ate 3 chapatis, which he would get in Madhukari. But he never went out from Madhukari because he could not leave the deities alone. So he would stay in that passage all day long. And some neighboring, individuals, families who were staying there, they will bring one chapati for him. Like that, every day his quota was 3 chapatis. And like this, for next 70 years, he lived only with 3 chapati. Morning, afternoon, evening. No. 3 chapatis whole day. No butter, no salt, no pickle, no paneer sabji, no rajma, no chole. Nothing like this. He spent his college life. Only time he went out was to take a bath. Yamuna ji was nearby. And second time he went out is to fetch a fresh water from Yamuna just to bathe the deities. This was the life of Ghanshyam Das Babaji. And this is just not the only story. Many, many stories are like that. Many, many stories of many, many heroes, great saints who we have never heard. And we only got to know about him only by the grace and the mercy of His Holiness Swami Maharaj. And Maharaj says he was so unknown, nobody knew him except for the sadhus. And not many sadhus would visit him, So only few sadhus knew him. And because Maharaj was like a sadhu in those days, he's a sadhu, but I'm going to say in those early days, he was was a mendicant, walking as a mendicant. That's why you got to meet him like this. So that is a point, the beauty of Krishna, Madana Mohan, who charms the heart, who attracts the heart. So there were various reasons were given why he's called as Madan Mohan, because he charmed Cupid, because he charmed gopis, he charms everyone by his beauty. And therefore Srila Rupa Goswami says, do not go by the bank of Yamuna, where Krishna is playing his flute. Then, end of your life, you are not coming back like that. Hare Krishna. We can only hope and pray something may happen to us like this. So our attachments to this world, the tight attachments to this world may loosened, and we can, one thing at least, if not, becomes very clear. Ghanshyam Das Babaji, who knew English fluently, he would converse with Richard Sliven in English language, came from an affluent family, had everything in his life. He was not somebody who had who got fired from a job and he tried for next 6 months, didn't got a job, felt nothing good in my life. Let me go and do Madhukari. He didn't went to Vrindavan like that. He was really well off. So this definitely establishes one fact, which we may not have an experience today, but the fact is, one who has received the mercy, one who have tasted a spiritual nectar, every other nectar for which we linger, for which we hanker, becomes useless, distasteful. Just like money, money is not an evil, but our attachment to money, which leads rise to subsequent greed and the desire to sense enjoyment, is a cause of evil. And how attached we are to what we call as money. And he left all his wealth. He left his parents, loving parents, his brothers, sisters, family members, everyone, and is living in a small passage like this or someone else's house where all around somebody is doing some kind of household chores, and he lived as an incredible example. Hare Krishna. So that's the subject matter called Beauty of Krishna. Well, Lord Chaitanya described the super excellence of Krishna's conjugal attraction. He felt transcendent ecstasy. And catching the hands of Sanatana Goswami, he began to proclaim how fortunate the damsels of Braja were, reciting a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. What great penance and austerities the damsels of Vrindavan must have undergone, for they are able to drink the nectar of Krishna, who is all beauty, all strength, all riches, all fame, and whose bodily luster is the center of all beauty. The body of Krishna, the ocean of the eternal beauty of youth, can be seen to move in waves of beauty. There's a whirlwind at the sound of his flute, and those waves that whirlwind makes the hearts of the gopis flutter like dry leaves on trees. And when those leaves fall again in Krishna's lotus feet, they can never rise up again. There is no beauty to compare with Krishna's, for no one possesses greater beauty than or equal to his. In fact, it is mentioned at times when Krishna would see himself in the reflection in the mirror, he will get attracted to his own beauty. It is mentioned about the beauty. I'm pretty sure the chapter would have those incidents mentioned. His mother Yashoda, she's a queen of Vrindavan. Her husband is a king. So they have wealth and they're more than 10 lakh cows. Imagine how wealthy would be. Those who can maintain 10 lakh cows, so would definitely have a lot of wealth. So Mother Yashoda would bedeck, ornament her son with all the valuable gems and jewels. Now imagine Krishna, what all he would have received in his gifts, as a gift in his birthday, isn't it? So he had all that most precious gems and jewels. And when he would go and steal butter from the house of gopis, elderly gopis, at times gopis would lock the butter, hang it up to the ceiling, and there would be no light in the room. And when Krishna would enter, and suddenly the whole place would be lighted up. So gopis are complaining to Mother Yashoda, what kind of son of you have, what kind of son you have? Even if you put the butter pot on the top of the roof, hanging on the roof, and he finds it even when the room is dark. The mother Yashoda says, how can he find when the room is dark? And then the gopis will say, that's the whole miracle. Your body, your son's body has such an effulgence that it lights up the whole room. It is not the ornaments which are emanating the light. It is the body which is self-effulgent, which lights up and removes all the darkness. and then it is reflected by the ornament. In other words, ornament is beautified by the Lord's beauty, like that is described. The attitude of the gopi is like a mirror upon which the reflection of Krishna's beauty develops at every moment. Both Krishna and gopis increase their transcendental beauty at every moment, and there is always transcendental competition between them. No one can appreciate the beauty of Krishna by properly discharging his occupational duty, or by austerities, mystic yoga, cultivation, knowledge, or by prayers. Only those who are on the transcendental platform love of God, who are of love engaged in devotional service, can appreciate the transcendental beauty of Krishna. Such beauty is the essence of all opulences and only appreciated in Goloka Vrindavan. In the form of Narayan, the beauties of mercy, fame, etc., all established by Krishna. But Krishna's gentleness and magnanimity do not exist in Narayana. They are only found in Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes another verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Yasyananam makrakundala karna brajat kapola subagam savilasahasam nityosvam natarpo drishibhi pibantyo naryo narasha mudita kupita nimishcha. The gopi used to relish the beauty of Krishna as a ceremony of perpetual enjoyment. They enjoy the beautiful face of Krishna, his beautiful ears with earrings, his broad forehead, and his smile. And when enjoying this sight of Krishna's beauty, they used to criticize the creator Brahma for causing their vision of Krishna to be momentarily impeded by the blinkings of their eyelids. The Vedic hymn known as Kama Gayatri describes the face of Krishna as a king of all the moons. In metaphorical language, there are many different moons, but they're all one in Krishna. There's a moon of his mouth, the moon of his cheeks, the moon spots of sandalwood pulp on his body, the moons of the fingertips of his hands, the moons of the tips of his toes. In this way, there are all 24 and half moons, and Krishna is the central figure of all of them. The dancing movement of Krishna's earrings, eyes, and eyebrows is very attractive to the damsels of Braja. Activities in devotional service increases the sense of devotional service. What else is there for two eyes to see beyond the face of Krishna? Since one cannot adequately see Krishna with only two eyes, one feels incapable and thus becomes bereaved. Such bereavement is slightly reduced when one criticizes the creative power of the Creator. The unsatiated seer of Krishna's face nonetheless laments. I do not have thousands of eyes, but only two, and these are disturbed by the movements of my eyelids. Therefore, it is to be understood that the creator of this body is not very intelligent. He is not conversant in the art of ecstasy, but is simply a prosaic creator. He does not know how to arrange things properly, so one can see only Krishna. You know that very famous pastime of Quraysh and Ramanujacharya Sampradaya. I hope all of you are familiar with the character of Quraysh. Long story short, a Shavite king had become very envious of Ramanujacharya and he wanted to punish him, eventually wanted to kill him. And Quraysh, in the disguise of Ramanujacharya, went to him, debated him, and established the position of Sri Krishna. And in anger, Quraysh was ordered to be, what do you say, his eyes had to be taken out. Or he had to be, punishment was that he has to be blinded. Now the king thought this is Ramanujacharya. Or the king wanted to kill Ramanujacharya, but let go of him with his life, because Ramanujacharya many, many years ago had saved the king's daughter from a very, very severe ghost. So knowing that the Ramanujacharya was a great saint and he has done some service unto me, so his envy was a little restrained and restricted. Rather than killing Ramanujacharya, he decided to blind him. So Quraysh was blinded. The hot burning iron rod was pierced in his eyes, and he was made blinded because of that, and left with blood-soaked eyes in the forest to wander around. He was along with Mahapurna, who was very old, elderly, and he passed away on the way. And Quraysh somehow found his way, come back, and I believe he reached Srirangam. Ramanujacharya was away at that point of time, and then he received the news of Quraysh's survival and is in Srirangam. but he has been blinded. At that time, Sri Ramanujacharya said, well, why don't you pray to Sri Ranganath Swami and ask for benediction? So 3 times it happened. First time he asked for benediction. So there was a disciple of, I believe, Ramanujacharya, only who had become envious of Ramanujacharya Mahapurna, and he is the one who actually enticed the Shaivite king to destroy Ramanujacharya. So Quraysh first of all asked for benediction for him, let him be relieved from all his sin. Then second time, again, Ramanujacharya said, well, you ask something for yourself. Then again he asked, I believe, for others, something like that. And then again Ramanujacharya said, if not anything, take it as my instruction. Ask for your vision. Tell Sri Ranganath to give you a vision. And then Quraysh went in front of Sri Ranganath. He said, my dear Lord Ranganath, it is the order of my spiritual master that you may please restore my vision. Kindly restore my vision in such a way that I can only see you and see my spiritual master and no one else. And that's how Quraysh vision was restored. See whom? See only you and see the form of my spiritual master and nothing else. I'm just giving some examples that are coming to my mind in relation to that, that kind of elaborates the point of how, why the gopis are complaining here that, why Brahma, you have created this, improper creation where our eyes have to blink and for a moment we are not able to see Krishna. All right. Right? Next page. The gopis' mind is always engaged in relishing the sweetness of Krishna's body. His ocean of beauty and his beautiful face and smile and the luster of his body are all attracted to the minds of the gopis. In Krishna Karanamrit, his face, smile, and body luster have been described sweet, sweeter, and sweetest. Face, smile, and body luster. A perfect devotee of Krishna is overwhelmed by seeing the beauty of Krishna's body luster, his face and smile, and he bathes in the ocean of transcendental convulsions. Before Krishna's beauty, these convulsions often continue without treatment, just as an ordinary convulsions, which a physician will allow to continue, not even allowing a drink of water for relief. The devotee increasingly feels the absence of Krishna, for without him one cannot drink the nectar of his beauty. When the transcendental sound of Krishna's flute is heard, the devotee's anxiety to continue to hear the flute enables him to penetrate the covering of the material world and enter into the spiritual sky, where the transcendental sound of the flute enters into the ears of the followers of the gopis. Just like we are fortunate enough, although it is not because of qualification, it is just because somebody is practicing flute in Blue Ridge every morning before Mangalati Darshan, we also get to hear the flute. Not that we have developed that ability to hear the flute of Krishna. I'm just giving an example. And how nice it is, isn't it? Today morning also there was a nice flute. Imagine, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, having direct access to the transcendental sound of Krishna's flute. The sound of Krishna's flute always resides within the ears of the gopis and increases their ecstasy. And when it is heard, no other sound can enter into their ears. Amongst their family, they are not able to reply to questions properly, for all these beautiful sounds are vibrating in the ears. Venu Madhuri is one of the special attribute of Krishna. His flute is incredible. Thus, Lord Chaitanya explained the transcendental constitution of Krishna, expansions, body luster, everything connected with him. In short, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained Krishna as he is, as well as the process by which we can approach him. In this regard, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out that devotional service to Krishna is the only process by which he can be approached. This is the verdict of Vedic literature. As the sages declare, if someone inquires into Vedic literature to determine the process of transcendental realization, or if someone consults the Puranas, one will find that on all of them, the conclusion is that the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, is the only object of worship. Please read. Krishna is absolute truth. Next paragraph. Host enabled. Host enabled. Where are you?
Prabhu, in the online version, the chapter is ended. Is it?
So for us, it continues to be continued. So the Krishna, please.
Krishna.
Yes.
Krishna is the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead, and he is situated in his internal potency.
Whether you can share the next chapter, maybe it's the next chapter in the online version. Yeah.
Which is known as Swarupa Shakti or Atma Shakti, as described in Bhagavad Gita. He expends himself in various multiple forms, and some of these are known as his personal forms, and some as his separated forms. Thus, he enjoys himself in all the
Mother, you
aspects
can
of
remove the screen. This is not the chapter. Yeah, continue.
as well as in
So
the
those
material
who have the book
universes.
have the advantage.
I have the book also,
Therefore, having
Prabhu.
a book is so
I have the
important.
physical book also. Thank
Don't
you.
trust
Hare Krishna.
online content. All right, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Go ahead.
The expansions of his separated forms are called living entities, and these living entities are classified according to the energies of the Lord. They are divided into two classes: eternally liberated and eternally conditioned. Eternally liberated living entities never come into contact with material nature, and therefore they do not have any experience of material life. They are eternally engaged in Krishna consciousness or devotional service to Lord, and they are counted among the associates of Krishna. Their pleasure, the only enjoyment of their life, is derived from rendering transcendental loving service to Krishna. On the other hand, those who are eternally conditioned are always divorced from the transcendental loving service of Krishna, and thus subjected to the threefold misery of material existence. Due to the conditioned soul's eternal attitude of separation from Krishna, the spell of material energy awards him two kinds of bodily existence: the gross body, consisting of five elements, and subtle body, consisting of mind, intelligence, and ego. Being covered by these two bodies, the conditioned soul eternally suffers the pangs of material existence, known as the threefold miseries. He is also subjected to six enemies, such as lust, anger, etc. Such is the everlasting disease of the conditioned soul. Diseased and conditioned, the living entity transmigrates throughout the universe. Sometimes he is situated in the upper planetary system and sometimes in the lower system. In this way, he leads his diseased life. His disease can be cured only when he meets and follows the expert physician, the bona fide spiritual master. When the conditioned soul faithfully follows the instruction of bona fide spiritual master, his material disease is cured. He is prompted, he is promoted to the liberated stage, and he again attains to the devotional service of Krishna and goes back home, back to Krishna. A conditioned living entity should become aware of his real position and should pray to the Lord. How much longer will I under the rule of all these bodily functions, such as lust and anger? As masters of the conditioned soul, lust and anger are never merciful. Indeed, the conditioned soul will never cease, are never are
Will
never
never
merciful,
cease rendering service to such
rendering
bad
service
masters.
to.
So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying lust and anger for a conditioned living entity have become their masters. So who is our boss? Kama and Krodha. So make your choice, choose the right master, that's the point. However, when it comes to his real consciousness, the Krishna consciousness, he abandons these bad masters and approaches Krishna with a frank, open heart to achieve his shelter. At such a time, he prays to Krishna to be engaged in the transcendental loving service. Let's read the last paragraph. In Vedic literature, sometimes fruitive activities, mystic yoga, and the speculative search for knowledge of praise is different way to self-realization. Yet despite such praise in all literatures, the path of devotional service is accepted as the foremost. In other words, devotional service to Lord Krishna, highest perfection path to self-realization, and it is recommended that it is performed directly. Fruitive activities, mystic meditation, and philosophical speculation are not direct methods of self-realization. They are indirect because without devotional service, they cannot lead to the highest perfection of self-realization. Indeed, all paths to self-realization ultimately depends on the path of devotional service. To conclude with, Prabhupada gives a beautiful analogy in Nectar of Devotion, and he explains what is the meaning of word liberation. And he says liberation has no meaning unless we have understood about Krishna. Unless we have darshan of Krishna first, we cannot have liberation in true sense. And he gives an example of sunlight. Just like you wake up in the morning because there's a sunlight, and you go walk in front of the mirror and you look yourself in the mirror. That is called as self-realization. So your ability to see yourself in the mirror, which is called as self-realization, an example here, is only possible because prior to you had self-realization, you've had realization of Krishna. Because only because of the presence of sunlight you're able to see. So first, a sunlight has to occur, and then only you can see your reflection in the mirror. Similarly, before what we call a self-realization to occur, we have to have understanding and realization of Krishna. Like this, Srila Prabhupada writes in Nectar Devotion. With that, we come to the conclusion of our chapter and also of the discussion. I have other things to attend to, so I thought I'll come for the time that I could. So, chapter 11, we'll take it tomorrow, service to the Lord. So, thank you all for joining in, and Hare Krishna. I'll have to conclude here today because I'm in little hurry.